Hello students, and welcome to another Screencasting Wednesday. So as you can see, I have here a thesis outline planner that I'm going to fill out for my informative paper. And because we did this in class together, I know all of you will also have your references page with your annotations filled out beautifully in just the way that we did it on Monday. So as you can see, I have all of those here. They are in alphabetical order. They have 3 to 5 sentences summarizing each of these. I only have the important things capitalized. I only have, the subtitle and the title capitalized. So everything looks good here. Coming up to this section though, how exactly are we supposed to organize this? Where we have 3 headings, but you're required to have 4 sources. Well, this is where you have to get a little bit creative. So do your sources talk about the same things? How can they be organized? Think about if you were to write a list and put your sources on each of those lists, what would you title those lists? So for me, personally, I have controversy in history. I have commentary, controversy surrounding mercury in vaccines, because I'm going on my same vaccine example that I gave in the previous unit. And here I have social media and mainstream news. I have controversies and challenges and interview. So I have a couple that talk specifically about controversies. So first one, I'm just going to take this out and I'm going to say background. That's the background of vaccines. Give a little bit of history so that my reader has some context. And then I'm going to come in and I'm going to say controversy and scientific research. So that's where I'm going to put all of the information about the controversy, where the scientific research stands, and then here is where I'm going to put information and public outreach. Because not only am I looking at vaccines and what they can do, but I'm looking at the research that's been done on vaccines, how they work, and I'm looking at how people view vaccines. And if you'll look at my sources, I have one for each of them. Here I have the whole history of what vaccines are, how they're used, talking about mercury, how it was linked to autism, why that is not necessarily true. And I think some of that information will probably come over into this information and public outreach, because if you see here it says how did it become linked in the public mind, so it's also talking a little bit about how physicians and policymakers will build trust. So that's a little bit about information outreach as well. So I've got Baker, that's going to be in both. So here I'm going to say Baker 2008, and here I'm going to say the same. So I'm just going to copy this and I'm going to paste it over here because I'm going to use that source in both areas. And on this point I'm going to say history of vaccines and then say again Baker, just to remind myself. And then over here I'm going to say physicians building trust, and I'm going to say Baker again on this side just to remind myself. Okay, so now I'm going to come down here. I'm going to say controversy surrounding mercury, autism denial as an impediment to universal immunization, and this is talking a little bit about statistically information that was omitted from the paper. So I feel like that kind of goes into my section on controversy. So here I'm going to talk a little bit about faulty research, and I'm just giving like a bullet point, right? And then I'm going to go ahead and put in my citation for that. So I have 2 authors for this one, so I've put in my 2 authors and what year. That's 2014. So here I'm just going to go like that. This I'm going to come down, these guys again, but with my 2014. And there's that. So do you kind of see how this is all fitting together? And in the same manner, I'm going to come and look at my other sources and see kind of where they fall in my 3 categories. Now, eventually when I write my paper, these will become APA headings, and I'll show you guys how that fits in your APA shell the next time that we talk in class, so that'll be on Monday. So now for my thesis statement, I can write a draft of my thesis statement now because I have background of vaccines, I have controversy in scientific research, information and public outreach, So I'm going to say vaccines have a great deal of history and research behind them. And then semicolon, which should only ever be used in place of a period, not a comma. However, somehow the public has received alternative facts. Isn't that great? Not lies, alternative facts. And misinformation resulting in misconceptions. Okay, so I'm going to title my paper Vaccines or Nah, Autism and Prevention in Public Health. Alright, so that's basically how you fill this out. Obviously, this is kind of like a catchy title. You don't necessarily have to have like a funny, catchy title. I could just say vaccines. But it's up to you. I'm not grading you on how witty your title is. But I am grading you on how well you do this portion down here. The annotations are actually a large portion of that grade. And on how well you kind of outline your support points up here. So I want to see where your sources are going to be used, how you're going to use them, how they will be relevant. Just sort of sketching out the ideas of how you're going to organize this information. So I hope that this was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, have a great weekend, and I will see you all on Monday.